Laka, boom. You've tuned in to the Free Range Human Show Choice, your daily dose of reality radio. Voice reality this morning on a Monday fun day here in the ClayEdwardsShow.com studios. We got Sean Yurtkuran after a week on assignment. Good morning, Mr. Yurtkuran.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you doing?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Not ready for it to be hot as you know what.
I'm not. No. I got on here Friday and raised 7 levels of hell about how much I hate summer.
Man, last week though it was like cold, you know, like for summer, relatively for summer, it was like 85, 86. It was great.
Yeah, but it rained every day.
It did.
I mean, it was like pick your poison. It was like, do you want rain or do you want 800-degree weather?
I'll take the rain. I'll take the rain.
You'll take the rain?
Yeah.
Yeah. Miserable. I mean, I'm with you. Either way sucks. But, you know, bought a new car and had to drive it in rain for the first 5 days. I'm like, dang it, I just want a clean car for once.
Yeah, right. Especially after you first bought it, too.
Yeah.
You know.
So,
yeah.
Man, had a good weekend this weekend. Got out. I want to run down a few things real quick here. The Mazda Jackson phone line this morning. If you guys want to call in, got anything you want to get off your chest, 601-879-0002. The Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. Quick announcement, unless something's changed. Tomorrow morning, 8:05, live from federal prison, we're going to have the Tiger King, Joe Exotic, on the show. You know, he's done my podcast a couple times. There's been some changes that are allowing some new evidence into his case, which he hopes to free him. You may remember Joe Exotic from the #1 most watched Netflix show of all time, The Tiger King. He will be on the show calling in live tomorrow morning. So if you've listened to to 2 or 3 podcasts we've done, they're some of the most entertaining stuff I've ever been a part of. So tune in for that. It should be good. Hopefully I won't have to hit the beep button too many times on old Tiger King. So anyway, the Guns and Gear text line this morning, 769-241-1944. The theme of this weekend, Sean, was getting back on the horse.
Yeah, I noticed that. I followed you on social media, man. You're like a little celebrity this weekend.
Kind of getting back on the horse and getting out there and enjoying some things. And
it was like, where's Clay? Like, you know, like, where's Waldo? Like, it's like, oh, here's Clay at the wildlife thing.
Yeah, I was everywhere, man. The wildlife extravaganza Saturday, that was a blast. Got up Saturday morning. First, rewind a little bit. The Miranda Lambert concert was Friday night at the Braves Stadium. That was a good time.
Oh, I was going to ask, it was raining, though, wasn't it?
It was, but I waited at the house, and I just made an executive decision. Once I saw that they had opened the gates and they were letting people in, and it was like after the lightning and stuff, I said, they've made their mind up. They're doing the show. I was like, so I threw on all black, you know, because I got rained on, like a black Under Armour sweat tech type shirt and some shorts. I'm like, well, if I get soaking wet, at least I'm wearing all black. I threw a change of clothes in the car, and I rode on down there by myself, got out. Man, didn't have to deal with a lick of traffic walking in. Didn't have to deal with, and I left about 20 minutes early. Didn't have to deal with a lick of traffic leaving. So it was great deal for me. Big turnout. Shout out to Mayor Jake Wyndham and that whole team. They did a great job. The mayor let me hang out in his air conditioned box for a little while. So I really wasn't there for the concert. I was just there for the camaraderie. So anyway, got to shoot the breeze with the mayor and see everybody and walked around, got to see a ton of people and all that. I thought the Braves did a great job. Hopefully we'll see some more big concerts there in the future if things a little birdie tells me are true. Big things coming for Trustmark Park. Do not fret too much on the Braves leaving. We've enjoyed having them, but great things are coming to Pearl, Mississippi. Stay tuned. You heard it here first, and that's all I'm going to say. But then Saturday, the wildlife extravaganza. Man, that was fun. I met my daughters there and their other grandfather, and we hung out for a couple hours, man. Just got to meet a ton of great people. So many WYAB listeners there at the wildlife extravaganza. Shout out to all of them. I got roped into getting on stage and doing a gun giveaway.
Oh, yeah?
So, you know, it's like, hey, whenever we get called into action, I have no problem grabbing a microphone and running my mouth, apparently. So that was fun. Shout out to Ashley Jones and Heather Smith. It was great seeing them. Heather from Naked and Afraid, and, of course, Ashley, our very own Swamp People star from right here in Central Mississippi. Always good seeing Ashley. And like I said, I got to meet Heather. I've interviewed Heather before. People seem to be very impressed with our photo.
Yeah.
Our photo,
Indeed.
my ability to keep my eyes on the camera.
You were struggling there, though. I mean, it was.
You would be too. They about put my eye out.
I know they were quite large. That was. I mean, it was very noticeable.
Like disproportionate. Like poor girl's back has got to be bad.
I know. I was like, is she doing like some planks or something?
All joking aside, it
Yeah.
was just. I'm not trying to be overtly sexual or nothing here, but I mean, it's like one of the strangely odd, not in a bad way. I'm sure they look great. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's like, ba-boom.
Well, because there was that photo with you and her, and I saw the comments, and some guy made a remark about it, which was pretty funny. But it was just obvious that we looked at the photo because your eyes were like straight ahead, like you're trying not to look.
Well, her kid was taking the picture too.
Okay.
So she had her daughter taking the picture. So you're trying to be as, as inconspicuous as possible. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah. I mean, it was like your neck was just twitching. I could just see the photo. Like,
don't look. Don't look down. Don't look down. So anyway, been great time at the Wildlife Extravaganza. That has been another huge get for Rankin County. And I want to. This was a little conversation that was going around there a little bit. And guys, we're going to get into a lot. I saw where Joe Biden's going to try to redo the Supreme Court. We got a lot of news we're going to get to this morning. I promise we're not just going to talk about Clay's weekend out, but we are for a second. Man, this battle going on between the fairgrounds and the Wildlife Extravaganza people and throwing these competing wildlife extravaganzas on the same weekend, this doesn't make sense to me. Because you can clearly look at the pictures and see which one has an audience and which one doesn't. And why split this thing up? There's 52 weeks in a year. Is there not another weekend that we could do the other one?
yeah, that's a good point. Why? Why is that? Why are they doing that?
Well, I mean, I don't know all the mechanics of this. I just know what I've seen with my eyes, and I'm sure there's a lot goes on behind the scene that Clay doesn't understand, and I get that. The Wildlife Extravaganza, the real one, the OG one, was down there forever.
Okay.
They had a big falling out over something that got posted about the backwater pumps up in the Delta. Everybody pulled out. It basically got canceled that year, if my memory serves me correct. This was 3-4 years ago. And the backwater pumps people and the Wildlife Extravaganza have kissed and made up. They even have their own booth at the Wildlife Extravaganza now. But that led to them basically, if my memory serves me correct, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, that led to them being removed from the fairgrounds.
Okay.
And then at that point, they started their own wildlife extravaganza of sorts, outdoor extravaganza. I'm just calling them all wildlife extravaganza as a catch-all here. And now they're battling on the same weekend every year.
Okay.
And it's just like, man, this doesn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, they were doing that. And again, I wish them all both the best of luck. I love all the people involved in both of them. Andy and them do a great job at the fairgrounds, and the folks that do this one treated me with the utmost hospitality and respect. And I just hate seeing them both competing on the same weekend because it just don't make any damn sense. It's like having two big it's like Pearl having Miranda Lambert and Brandon having Blake Shelton on the same night.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes that's just life in the big city, and it'd be like that sometimes. But just this ain't a big city.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, it's hard to. The two concert examples pretty good. Like, how would you, you got to pick between those two? But to be honest, I didn't even know who Miranda Lambert was until Friday. I had to Google that.
Yeah,
I totally had to Google it.
I know one song she sings. I know she was married. I know she's a big country star, and she's not. It ain't my cup of tea. But the guy Jackson Dean that opened up was he was really good. Like that ain't pop country. I mean, he that dude can sing. He's really good. So let's see here. Kind of running down the list. Saturday, so after that, man, I went and worked out, just killed it at the gym, tried to kill myself, then did a ruck and all that stuff. But what I'm trying to get to is Cypress Point, the old McLean Lodge. So I went out there Saturday evening. My friends Mo and Kelly Cameron bought it from the McLean family. The whole kit and caboodle. And they've changed the name. It's Cypress Lodge now. And they were having a party back in the lodge part with the band Luckenbach. They're a Willie Nelson tribute. Mm-hmm. They've been around for a while now. Most people have seen them, but if you haven't, you need to check out Luckenbach when you get an opportunity. Great band. Golly. They do Willie Nelson better than Willie can now for obvious reasons. And, of course, I saw Willie last year, and he still does a pretty dang good job doing Willie Nelson, but when you're almost 100 years old, you have to adjust how you sing, obviously.
Sure.
anyway, man, went by there, saw them, saw basically the Rankin County power structure back there, having a good time. And just a good time, man. A lot of good things coming to Cypress Point. Hopefully we'll be able to tell you more about those in the near future, too. Just a lot of great things coming Rankin County's way. And, you know, and it's Rankin, first off, it's a huge county. You know, there's lots of driving. But, I mean, you got some good things coming to Pearl. Downtown Brandon's blowing up. Flowood's blowing up. Out here at Cypress Point, the stuff they got planned. I mean, there's legitimately stuff to do. There's going to be stuff to do all the time. That's the number one complaint I hear from people all the time. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to do. But, it's coming. Trust me. Sometimes you got to drive more than 5 minutes. Me growing up in Byram, that south, I just call it everything Forest Hill Road south to me is Byram.
Okay.
You know, whether it's South Jackson or it's just Forest Hill Road or really Elton Road south is Byram. But growing up out that way, we didn't have anything. You had to drive everywhere. Mm-hmm. I was telling my friend Jess yesterday, like she lives out in Gluckstadt, and she was like, you know, before we were having this conversation about she lived out there her whole life, and we were talking about that used to be the middle of nowhere too.
It was. I mean,
and I was like, we were talking about how far I had to drive from downtown Brandon to Gluckstadt, but then we were sitting there, and I was like, well, I grew up out in Byram. We had to drive everywhere for anything because South Jackson was dead at that point, so you had to drive on the other side. So you had to go to, at minimum, to Pearl or Clinton or to North Jackson or further to do anything. So I'm just used to always having to drive. Like, I didn't grow up in the country, but it's kind of like growing up in the country because Jackson's such a dead zone.
Yeah, that's true. I remember, do you remember back like late 90s, early 2000s, like Highland Colony, right when you get where the Renaissance is? I had a friend that lived in those neighborhoods off of I think it's Steed Road or something back in like the late 90s. Mm-hmm. And that was like, he'd say like, come over to my parents' house. And we're like, okay. It was like going out to the wilderness because there was nothing out there except for like St. Andrews High School. Like that was the only thing that was out there. You know, it was just, I mean, in the middle. So when you talk about Gluckstadt, it made me think of that. Like that was really even further, like in the middle of nowhere.
100%. So I went out to the Cypress Point thing, and again, just used to driving everywhere. More to my story, and so I went out there, and then I just made it. I was leaving there about 9:30 or so, and just made an executive decision. You know what? I ain't ready to go home. My daughters were going to Shuckers. I said I'm just going to go over there and kind of babysit them a little bit. I said I'm just not ready to go home, and I rolled up in Shuckers by myself, and ended up running into a bunch of people I know, but ended up running into an old friend of mine, and hung out with her all night, and ended up going to a barbecue the next day. Shout out to Joe Jafria and that whole team out there, and Greyhawk. Joe is a championship barbecuer. He's got his own YouTube channel, and I don't mean run-of-the-mill I don't mean 12 followers on a YouTube channel either. I mean, Joe's got a legit YouTube channel. Like these big Yoder grill companies, all that, they send him grills to cook with. So I got to eat some world-class barbecue yesterday, and back home, show prep, asleep, and here we are.
There you are.
And let's take a call. That is Clay's big weekend recap brought to you by FAFO.com. Go get a shirt today. Let's take we got Derek on the Mazda Jackson phone. Man, I don't know what's going on with the phone line, brother. I apologize, Derek. That's probably us, not you. Let's take a break. Come back. We'll see if we can get Derek back on the line. We got Sean Yurtkaran in the studio. Lots to jump in on. Apparently, Jacksonians. We ain't talked a lot of Jackson stuff. Jacksonians are protesting gas stations now. Sean, I feel like somebody's been on that for a while now. Somebody in this studio has been on this about Jackson gas stations for a while now. And Sean on assignment last week worked a big Second Amendment murder trial. You guys are going to be blown away at this. We'll kind of tiptoe around what we can and can't say, but you'll be able to get the gist of it. This is the Clay Edwards Show with Sean Yurtkaran. We'll be right back.